And welcome to Technology Tap. I'm Professor J. Rod. In this episode, the big reveal is here. Let's talk about it. All right, welcome to Technology Tap. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Professor J. Rod. I'm a professor of cybersecurity, and I love helping my students pass the A+, Network Plus, and Security Plus series of exams. And I also like to post podcasts every now and then of the history of technology. I'm an amateur historian or wannabe amateur historian. So welcome to my show. If you want to follow me, you can follow me on social media. I'm on TikTok at Professor J. Rod, on Instagram at Professor J. Rod, on the Facebook at Technology Tap Podcast, and on LinkedIn, just look for me under Juan Rodriguez. There's a bunch of us, but I'm the good-looking one that's there. So here's the reveal that I've wanted to tell everybody. Some people know, my close friends, a couple of former students that I trust. I wrote a book, guys. I wrote a book. So it's not the book that everybody would think that I would write, though I am writing that one too. And then that one is a little bit of what we call editorial hell. I'm going through a whole process with that book. So it's not an A+ book, right? The A+ book is coming. It's currently being worked on. I actually finished the A+ book a while back, but it's just I'm an editor and we're going back and forth with a lot of changes, specifically to this book because of the way I did it. We have a couple of disagreements on it, but we're working it out. But I did write a book on scamming, specifically helping people seniors who have been scammed, or, seniors who potentially could get scammed. So this book is really for like your mom, your grandparents, your grandfather, your aunt, your uncle, right? Is how not to be scammed. So that's that, and we'll go through it. It's called Scan Proof, right? It's on Amazon. I have it on Amazon. I self-published it on Amazon. Is it the best book in the world? No, obviously not. But there's a reason why I wrote this book, and we'll get into that. So it's called Scam Proof for Seniors: How to Recognize, Avoid, and Stop Modern Scams. And it's says by me, Dr. Juan Rodriguez. It's a nice short book, 200 pages. It's not anything. It's a good book, obviously, right? I wrote it, but I wrote this book. I wanted to dip my toe into self-publishing. I did a CompTIA exam strategy book, but while that was waiting to be read, that book ended up being 500 pages. And while sending it to the editor and waiting, I said, let me just do the scam book, because there's reasons why I did this. It's a long-term project that I'm working on. And that one, so it was basically like 150, 200 pages. It wasn't that long. It took a couple of months too, but it wasn't as long as the other one. The other one took me months, the A+ one. But yep, it's called Scam Proof for Seniors: How to Recognize, Avoid, and Stop Modern Scams. It's on Amazon. You can buy it in book form or Kindle. I'll put the link in the show notes, but I'm very proud of it. Do I hope it sells? Of course I hope it sells. But here's the reasons why I did it. This will give me the ability to go into stuff like libraries and do short little seminars for older people, right, who have been scammed, or to provide them guidance not to get scammed, which is something that I've been wanting to do for a long time. I've actually been encouraging my students to try to do this, but somehow we can never do it at that level. So I decided, let me write a book and then I can do it on my own. So I already contacted a couple of libraries local to me, and they're very enthusiastic about me coming there and doing a 30-minute, 40-minute presentation, and then kind of show off the book, right? That hopefully will lead me to other things. What are those other things are? I have no idea, but I need to like I said, 2026 is going to be a year that I throw myself out there, that I show my face more. I do more consistent podcasting, do more consistent posting on LinkedIn, consistent posting on TikTok. It's all about building my brand. Those of you who know me, you know I work hard, but I'm getting older and I'm getting tired. So I'm trying not to work as hard. I'm planning on all this just not to work hard in the future. So every month I will take a chapter of my book and I will turn it into a podcast. So those of you who maybe hear it and like it, maybe you want to buy the book, or maybe just listen to the podcast. So that's, again, it's all about trying to build my brand, try to build my name, and see where it goes, see what opportunity lands. So, I've done all this stuff so far, at a late age in my life. Got my master's, got my doctorate, now doing this. I'm just trying to accomplish there's certain goals in life that I have. And this particular goal is a long-term goal. I'll tell you what it is that I want to do. I eventually want to be believe it or not, on the History Channel. If you ever seen the History Channel, the history of fast food, the history of buildings, of the history of video games, a lot of people that they interview are college professors. So the day that they do the history of computers, I kind of want to be interviewed. I want to be one of those professors that the History Channel interviews. That they say, hey, talk about the floppy, right? The 5 1/4 floppy, and we could talk about it. Or the 8 1/2 floppy. Yeah, they were using the 8 1/2 floppies up to 1989. I remember using it when I used to work in Reese, right? I can, that's my main goal. But in order to do that, I have to show my face. My face has to be shown out there. I need to put myself out there. No one's from the History Channel is going to call me and say, hey, right? Or if they talk about scams, right? If I put a book out there and it takes off, maybe they'll do a documentary on scams and then they'll call me. So that's my goal. I want to be a subject matter expert on some stuff. And I figured, I can take little pieces of what I know and try to do that. Scamming, the A+ exam, which I'm really good at, stuff like that. I take those things and try to see where I can go from it. So that's where I'm going. That's where I'm headed. But you got to plant these seeds now, right? So when they start growing, and I'm realistic, guys. I know it's not going to happen today. I know it's not even going to happen this year, but I have to plant the seed. The seed I have to plant it. And being a college professor with a terminal degree, that helps. Writing a book helps. Having a podcast helps. Putting myself out there helps. All this stuff will help. And that's, so why am I saying all this? Well, first, I want to be honest with you guys. Second, there are people out there who have dreams and they want the dreams to come now. And they could. But I tell my students, You have to plant the seed, and you have to think long term. Success is not going to happen for you overnight. You have to do the grunt work first. You have to. It's like me, right? Teaching cyber, but I taught at technical schools first, right? I taught at technical schools. I taught at 3 technical schools before I started teaching at college. You got to do the grunt work. And I taught at a high school. I was a high school teacher. So you got to do the grunt work, right? You want to get up here, you got to start at the bottom. And then work hard and work your way up. But in that journey, plant seeds, right? So they grow in 3 or 4 years. This whole thing, trying to be on the History Channel and stuff. Like, you may laugh, but that's what I really want to do. That's something that I really want to do. I watch a lot of documentaries, and I see them interviewing these college professors, and I'm like, why can't I do that? Why can't I be one of those college professors that they interview? So here we are. So if you want, I would appreciate you if you can buy my book, read it, give it to your parents, give it to your grandparents, post a review on Amazon if you want. I'll put the link in the show notes. But yeah, I would appreciate it if you could do that. If you want, it's no rush, and I'm not forcing anybody to buy it, but I'm just saying, if you like what's going on here, if you like, if you want to support me, that I would appreciate it. But the A+ strategy book, that's coming out later in the year. That'll be my second book. But we're just running into editorial conflicts now. That would have been the first book, but this one, we decided to push this one out first, just to get my toes wet. And plus, I want to do these series of lectures in libraries, because you got to start at the bottom. So for those of you who have dreams, remember, dreams start low and then you work your way up. Don't give up on your dreams. Never give up. It's never too late. Guys, it's never too late. It is not. Take it from me. All right, let's do the book. All right, before we get into tactics, before we talk about phishing emails, fake phone calls, or people pretending to be banks, government, or even your own family, I want you to slow down with me for a moment. Because Scam Proof didn't start as a book. It started as a pattern. A pattern I keep seeing over and over again in my classroom, in my inbox, in my phone calls, and honestly in my family. And if you're listening to this right now, there's a good chance you've seen this pattern, even if you don't have a name for it yet. For years, people assume scams are technical problems. They're not. Scams are a human problem that uses technology as a delivery system. I've watched incredibly intelligent people, educators, nurses, veterans, retirees, parents, get tricked, embarrassed, or financially damaged. Not because they're careless, because someone understood human psychology better than they understood technology. And that's when I realized something uncomfortable. Most scams education is written for experts, not for real people. It's written with jargon. It's written with fear. It's written after the damage is done. This book exists because that approach is failing. Let me tell you why I couldn't just leave this alone. I teach cybersecurity and technology. And yet, even with all that, I keep getting the same message. Can you look at this email for me? My mom got a call, somebody claiming to be the bank. Is this text message real? I feel stupid asking. And the last one, I feel stupid asking. That's the most dangerous sentence in cybersecurity, because scammers rely on silence. They rely on embarrassment. They rely on people thinking, I should have known better. This book is here to destroy the silence. You might expect chapter 1 of a scam book to start with, here are the most common scams. Here's how phishing works. Here what fraud looks like. But I didn't start there on purpose, because if you don't understand why scams work, none of this matters. So chapter 1 starts with something uncomfortable and more honest. Scams don't succeed because people are dumb. They succeed because people are human. Scammers don't attack your intelligence. They attack your trust, your fear, your urgency, your desire to help, your need to belong, the love of your family. That's why smart people fall for scams. That's why educated people fall for scams. That's why people who say, I'll never fall for that, often do. This book exists to reframe the conversation. Not, how do I avoid being stupid, but how do I recognize when someone is manipulating me? I didn't write Scam Proof like a textbook. I didn't want to write it like a warning poster. I wrote it like a conversation because scams don't happen in classrooms. They happen while you're cooking dinner, while you're tired, while you're worried about money, while you're trying to help someone, while you're distracted, while you're afraid. So this book speaks to you in those moments. Here's something people don't talk about enough. The worst part of the scams isn't money. It's the shame. It's the silence afterwards. It's the hesitation to tell family. It's the feeling of being violated. It's the loss of confidence. It's the self-blame. I've spoken to people who recovered financially, but never recover emotionally. This book exists to stop that spiral before it starts. Yes, seniors are targeted heavily, but let's be honest. Young people get scammed through fake job ads. Students get scammed through financial aid fraud. Parents get scammed through school-related messages. Professionals get scammed through LinkedIn and email compromise. That happens all the time. This isn't an age problem, it's an exposure problem, and technology has multiplied exposure. I made one promise while writing Scam Proof. I will never make the reader feel stupid, ever. If you've ever been scammed, this book is for you. If you almost been scammed, this book is for you. And if you're listening right now thinking, I hope my parents read it, this book is for you. Chapter 1 isn't teaching tactics yet. It's teaching awareness. It's resetting how you think about risk. It's helping you understand why urgency is dangerous, why authority should always be questioned, why emotions are the entry point, and why pausing is your strongest defense. This chapter exists so when we do talk about scams later, you won't just recognize them, you'll feel them coming. Let me ask you something, and don't answer out loud. Have you ever clicked something and immediately felt uneasy, answer a call and thought, this feels off, or almost sent information before stopping yourself? That instinct, that's not paranoia. That's your brain protecting you. This book teaches you how to trust that instinct again. So let me say it plainly. I wrote Scam Proof because people are being hurt quietly. Technology is moving faster than education. Fear-based warnings aren't working, and no one should feel ashamed for being targeted. This book is about confidence, not fear, not panic, not technical jargon. Confident. In the next part, we're going to talk about how scams evolve, not just technically, but psychologically. Because once you see the pattern, you'll never unsee it. And that's why you truly need to be scam proof. All right, now let's talk about how we got here. Because scams didn't suddenly appear with smartphones. They didn't start with emails. They didn't even start with the internet. Scams are older technologies. What technology did was industrialize deception. Long before phishing emails, scams required proximity. You had to knock on a door, or stand on a street corner, or look at somebody in the eye, speak convincingly. Early scams rely on confidence, storytelling, social pressure, authority signals, uniform, badges, right, paperwork. In other words, human theater. Technology didn't change the scam. It changed the stage. When the telephone became common, something fascinating happened. Scammers realized, I don't need to be in front of you anymore. The voice became the weapon. People trusted voices, especially voices that sounded calm, official, concerned, familiar. This is where your first major psychological shift happens. Distance made deception easier. You couldn't see body language. You couldn't read the room. You couldn't verify context, right? Does that sound familiar? Does that ring a bell? Email didn't make scams smarter. It made them scalable. Before email, one scammer, one victim. After email, one scammer, thousands of inbox instantly. And here's the insight most people miss. Scams don't need a high success rate. They only need volume. If 99 out of 100 people ignore the email, the one person who clicks is enough. This is why scams look sloppy sometimes. That's not incompetent, that's filtering. People often ask, why is scam so badly written? Because scammers want people who won't question typos, weird phrasings, strange formats. Those aren't mistakes. Those are self-selection tools. If you ignore the red flags early, you're more likely to comply later. This book teaches you how to spot the filtering early, before you're emotionally invested. Then social media entered the picture, and this changed everything because now scammers didn't just contact you, they studied you. They learned your family, your job, your habits, your fears, your celebrations, your vulnerabilities. Scams stopped being generic. They became personal. And personalization creates trust. Think about it. A scammer can now clone a profile picture, mimic writing styles, reference real events, pretend to be a friend, boss, or family member. No hacking is required, no malware, no technical skills, just observation. That's why chapter 1 focuses on psychology, not technology. And remember, I have a bachelor's degree in psychology. For those of you who don't remember, that's my first degree I've ever gotten was a bachelor's degree in forensic psychology. One thing hasn't changed in centuries. People obey perceived authorities. Scammers impersonate banks, government agencies, employers, schools, doctors, tech support. Why? Because authority shortcuts thinking. When authority speaks, urgency follows, and urgency kills judgment. Every modern scam shares one feature. You must act now. Urgency creates panic, tunnel vision, compliance, silence. Scammers know something critical. If you pause, they lose. This book teaches you how to pause, even when everything feels urgent. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. Artificial intelligence. AI didn't create scams, it removed friction. Now scammers can write perfect emails, translate languages instantly, mimic tone and grammar, generate scripts, clone voices, and fake documents. The barrier to entry has collapsed. This is why scam education has to change. Because if the tools get smarter, the defenses must get more human. People love to say, I'll never fall for it, but scams don't target logic. They target moments, stress, fatigue, fear, love, responsibility. Common sense disappears under pressure. This book exists to give you pattern recognition, not rules. Almost every scam follows the same emotional sequence. Attention. This concerns you. Authority. We are legitimate. Urgency. Act now. Isolation. Don't tell anybody. Compliance. Just follow these steps. Shame. Why did I do that? Once you see the funnel, you stop spotting scams instantly. That's scam proofing. Scammers don't pick victims randomly. They look for routine, predictability, politeness, helpfulness, responsibility, and trust. Those are good traits in people. That's why blaming victims is so wrong. This book reframes vulnerability as human strength and teaches you how to protect it. Let me ask you something. Have you ever thought, I don't want to be rude? That thought has cost people millions. Scammers exploit politeness. This book gives you permission to hang up, to delete, to ignore, and question without guilt what they're doing, what they're asking. Most scam education happens after somebody's hurt. That's backwards. You don't teach fire safety after the house burns down. Chapter 1 exists to install mental smoke detectors. All right, let's slow down. Right, I showed you how scams evolve on the outside. Now, let's talk about what happens inside you in real time the moment a scam begins to work. Because scams don't start with money, they start with a feeling. Almost everyone who's been scammed says the same thing afterwards. I knew something felt wrong. That moment matters. That feeling isn't fear. It isn't paranoia. It isn't weakness. It's your brain detecting pattern mismatch. It's your mind saying, that tone doesn't match the situation. The urgency doesn't fit the context. The request feels premature and the authority feels forced. This book teaches you to trust that pause instead of overriding it. Here's the uncomfortable truth. We override our instincts because we've been trained to. We've been taught to be polite, to be helpful, to be responsive. Don't overreact. Don't cause trouble. Scammers exploit social training, not technical ignorance. When urgency appears, your brain shifts modes. You move from analytical thinking to survival thinking. Your body reacts. Heart rate increases, breathing changes, focus narrows, time feels compressed. In this state, logic doesn't win. Habits do. This is why Chapter 1 focuses on awareness before tactics. Authority alone isn't enough. Urgency alone isn't enough. Together, they're powerful. Your account will be locked. Law enforcement is involved. Your child is in trouble. This offer expires today. Your brain hears danger, but when that danger appears, compliance feels safe. One of the most dangerous moments in a scam is when you're encouraged not to tell anybody. Don't worry your family. This is confidential. You don't want to complicate things. Isolation cuts off reality checks. This book teaches you one rule that overrides all others. If someone pressures you to act alone, stop immediately. Shame isn't just the aftermath, it's part of the process. Scammers create situations where you feel responsible, you feel rushed, you feel embarrassed, you feel invested. Once shame appears, silence follows. This book exists to break that silence. Scams rarely ask for everything at once. They escalate. First, small confirmation, minor actions, simple compliance. Then, bigger requests, more urgency, higher stakes. By the time money appears, emotional commitment is already high. That's not accidental. Here's the truth most people don't like. Intelligent people often fall deeper into scams. Why? Because they rationalize inconsistencies, assume complexity, overestimate their control, and believe that they can handle it. This book gives smart people permission to stop early and without ego. Politeness is a vulnerability. Scammers rely on you not wanting to be rude, you not wanting to hang up, you not wanting to excuse. This book reframes politeness. Protecting yourself is not rudeness. Here's the most powerful tool in the entire book. Pause. Not later, not after, not when it's convenient. Pause now. Scammers hate pauses. A pause introduces time, reflection, outside input, reality. Chapter 1 trains the pause reflex. A real pause sounds like, I need time to think. I'll call you back through official channels, and I'm not comfortable continuing. No explanations, no justifications, no apologies. This book gives you that script. Pay attention to tightness, heat, shadow breathing, and tunnel visions. Those are warning signs, not weakness. So your body will tell you what's wrong. Fear-based warnings don't work long-term. Confidence does. Confidence means you trust your instincts. You allow yourself to stop. You don't need to prove anything, and you don't rush decisions. That's what scam-proof really means. Even if you're already in it, you can't stop. There's no rule saying you must continue. The moment you pause, you regain the power and control back. Think about the last message, call, or email that made you uncomfortable. You didn't imagine it. Your brain was protecting you. This book teaches you to listen next time. All right, this is where we bring everything together. If you stayed with me so far, you might be already feeling something has shifted. Not because you memorized rules, not because you learned technology, because you're starting to see the system behind the scams. That's what being scam proof actually means. Let's clear up something. Being scam proof doesn't mean you'll never receive scam messages. You'll never be targeted. You'll never feel unsure, and you'll never be pressured. Scammers don't stop trying. Scam proof means they don't control the outcome. The scam proof mindset is simple but powerful. No legitimate organizations requires urgency without verification. Once you accept that, everything changes. Banks can wait, governments can wait, employers can wait, family emergencies can be verified. Urgency without verification is manipulation. This chapter was designed to make scams feel familiar because familiar things are less frightening. When you recognize the emotional funnel, the authority signs, the isolation attempts, and the pressure tactics, you stop reacting, you start observing, and observation breaks the scam. There are filters, there are apps, there are warnings. They help. But scammers adapt faster than software. Awareness adapts faster than scam. That's why chapter 1 exists. One of the reasons I wrote this book is because the scam protection can't live in one person's head. It has to be shared. Families that talk openly about scams recover faster, stop scams earlier, feel less shame, and they protect each other. This book gives you language, not lecture. You don't say, be careful. You say, if something feels urgent, let's pause together. That sentence alone stops scams. Let me say this clearly. You have been targeted, tricked, or manipulated. You didn't fail. Someone studied human behavior and used it against you. This book removes blame from the equation. Later chapters will teach specific scam types, red flags, digital hygiene, financial protection, and reporting steps. But none of that matters if you don't trust yourself. Chapter 1 rebuilds trust. Confidence looks like taking time, asking questions, verifying independently, saying no without explanation, and walking away mid-conversations. Scammers can't operate in confident environments. I wrote Scam Proof because silence protects scammers. Shame keeps people isolated. Fear isn't education, and everybody deserves to feel confident, not afraid online. This book is about reclaiming control. From this point on, every chapter builds on this foundation. You won't just learn what scams look like. You'll understand why they work and why they stop working once you see them. If there's one thing you can carry forward from chapter 1, let it be this. You are allowed to pause. You are allowed to verify. You are allowed to protect yourself. That's not paranoia. That's power. This is the end of chapter 1 and the beginning of being scam proof. Again, my book is called Scam Proof for Seniors, How to Recognize, Avoid, and Stop Modern Scams. It's available on Amazon. I'll put the link on the show notes. I want to thank each and every one of you for this. Of course, I'm going to be telling the scams all throughout the chapters that I'll do. And I'll do one chapter a month for the book until we get all the chapters. But, you know, I have a lot of stories. My students, if you're one of my students listening, you know I have a lot of stories about scams. Some of them are hysterical, and I will tell you about it. But as we go through the chapters and we recognize scams, I'll give you examples of myself, people trying to scam me, or family members or friends that have been scammed, or scams that I read online. But they're out there, guys. They're out there. Thank you for your time. You know, if you're interested, please buy the book. If you are interested in me doing a PowerPoint presentation, you can contact me at Professor J-Rod, that's J-R-O-D, at gmail.com. More than happy to do a presentation at a local library, or we could do it over Zoom if you want. More than happy to, you know, teach people the ways of not getting scammed. All right, that'll do it all for today. Next week, we'll go back to A+ and finish our A+ series that we've been on. Thank you very much for listening, Professor J-Rod. And remember, keep tapping into technology. This has been a presentation of Little Cha-Cha Productions, art by Sarah, music by Joe Kim. We're now part of the Pod Match Network. You can follow me at TikTok at Professor J-Rod, that's J-R-O-D, or you can email me at ProfessorJrod, J-R-O-D, at gmail.com.